My wife and I were antique shopping, and back in the back of this antique store, there was this little box, and it was about 1 foot cubed, and it had like this painted stencil on the top. It looked like it was something from the government. When you opened the box up, there were all these chrome valves and some like rollers with ticker tape on it or something, and all these connectors, like screw-in connectors for it. And there was no wires or anything like that, and it was just totally bizarre. I mean, I didn't know what it was for, and I'd never seen anything like that. And so it kind of stayed on my mind, and I didn't buy it, which now, looking back now, I wish that I would have, but it stayed on my mind all day. And even when I went to bed that night, I was laying in bed staring at the ceiling and thinking, what was it used for? And then my imagination starts going, and I'm like, well, what if you figured out how to turn it on? What if something bad happened? Or what if nobody knew what it does, or nobody knows where it came from? And then I've always had like a fascination with early inventors, and so Tesla especially. So I was thinking, what if it was a Tesla device, and he invented it, and it was one of the devices that was taken from him during the war, and it was never recovered, and this was like his masterpiece, but nobody knows what it does. And that's pretty much it. Wrote the entire thing out from start to finish in about 20 minutes, just all the major plot points. Just knocked it out in like 20 minutes. I mean, stuff was just coming to me. Even the twist at the end, which normally I have to come up with a twist and then write backwards, but this one, it flowed pretty easy. And so that was all the major plot points in it. And then it took me a year to actually write it and flesh it out. And that's how it happened. I tell my wife, I really want to do this project. I've done special effects and visual effects on films for a few years, and the project I had my own project. That was my own idea, from story to the end credits. And so my wife and I were out to eat, and I was explaining, I really like this script. I kept going back to it, and I kept going back to it, adding stuff to it. And I said, I really want to do this. And so she says, well, how much is it going to cost, and what do we need to do? And so I kind of ran the numbers and figured it up. And she's always real supportive of all this crazy things, these ideas that I have. She's pretty supportive about stuff. So she said, yeah, let's do it. We'll try to we'll figure out a way that where we can get the money and put it out there. And in the meantime, why don't you try to find an investor to invest in a feature? So I did that for about 9 months. We talked to a couple of different investors, and we went back and forth and just 1,000 phone calls and 100 meetings. And in the end, they wanted creative control over the story, which I just really wasn't willing to do at the time. And this is so near and dear to me that I wasn't about to release it to someone else just because they had money. I just wasn't willing to do that. So we turned them down. I mean, that's basically, in a nutshell, that's what happened. We just turned both of the guys down and said, we'll figure out some other way to do it, because I really believe in the story, and I didn't want to kind of sell out to do something that was going to be not as good. There's enough bad science fiction out there now that I don't need to throw another one out there. Pre-production is kind of what I do for a living, that in post. So there was a lot of sketching going on, and to designing the actual device. The device probably went under, 6 or 7 revisions, and 2 of them being like really massive changes. And of course, the device is not shown in the trailer at all. I didn't want to give too much away. And so I had to design it with the idea in mind that I wasn't explaining what the device does, or what its intended use was, like where did it couple with something else, or was this it by itself, or was it part of something larger? I didn't want to reveal any of that, and looking back now, I realized that maybe I didn't even know what it did, which is, to me, is really cool, because it opens up the story more, and it lets me be more creative with it. So we've done a lot of sketches on that, and then I finally, once we kind of decided on the design. I drew up in CAD and then created 3D models so I could do animations of it and a whole bit. But it's never really shown in the trailer except in 2 spots, but it's kind of hidden, so you'd have to really look to see it. So once we had the device design, I had the script, probably 80% complete. So I went to David and said, will you do storyboards for this? And he accepted the challenge, and in like just a few days, he brought me probably like 30 shots, these storyboard shots back, and just rendered out in, like grayscale marker, and it looked just fabulous. And I was just so excited to get something that, where I could actually piece the story out and lay it out in front of me where I could see it. Final shot at the end, because that was kind of an off-the-cuff thing that we kind of threw together. And when Alex gets pulled away from the tunnel really quick by Tommy, we set that shot up, and I was kind of like, I don't know if this is gonna work or not. And we shot it, and soon we didn't have sound rolling on that. We were just shooting just video. And as soon as he got pulled back, I think everybody that could see the monitor, as soon as he got pulled back, we all kind of went, whoa, that was awesome. So that's probably one of my favorite shots. One of the locations was Slices. It's a pizza place here, and a friend of mine, Tracy, owns it. And we were eating one day, and I said, do you know of any creepy basements around that we could shoot like a movie in? That was like the only location that I haven't really nailed down. And he said, oh, have you ever seen the basement of Slices? And I said, no. And he said, well, I don't even go down there. It's that creepy. So I said, well, I want to see it. So we went down to the basement to see it. And it turns out that the Slices Pizza is next to the old Griffin Hotel, which was the first hotel that was built in Griffin. And it's like in the early 1900s, and it's not like a regular flat basement, like most basements are just flat. This has like different levels, and there's like stairs going up to different places, and little small doorways that go into nothing basically. There's old boilers down there, and these pipes everywhere, and the actual elevator shaft that went in the hotel, the elevator room is still down there with the motor for the elevator and all the gears and all this. And it's insanely creepy, and there's no paint, like the paint's fell off the wall, and the sheetrock just fell off the wall, and you can see the slats behind the sheetrock, and there's archways and raw brick in places. And when we went down there, I was just like, this is perfect. Good. The other locations were the cemetery, which is the old city cemetery here in Griffin, and the bar. We shot at the bar, Country Rock, which is like, that's the farthest we had to drive, like 10 minutes. And then the house, we shot the house scenes here. So, but and that was pretty much the bulk of the locations. The funniest thing to me was we were shooting the bedroom scene with where Tommy and Haley kiss and fall in the bed. So we had the shot set up. The actors are on their marks. Camera speeds up. I'm just about to say action, and Whitney looks at Andrew and goes, oh, by the way, when we do this, I'm going to keep my mouth closed, but if you want to open yours, feel free. I was just like, wow, ouch. But this scene turned out all right. It was pretty funny.